If you are a dancer, an actor, singer, writer, visual artist, filmmaker, performer, your creative life does not only need big breakthroughs, although they're great and they're fun, but it also needs steady attention to the artist that you are becoming. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist podcast, where artists of all kinds come to fuel their passion, sharpen their skills, and thrive in their creative lives. I'm your host, Lara Pilcher, life and creativity coach and fellow artist, here to support you on your artistic journey. Whether you're a performer, writer, visual artist, or any kind of artist, this is the space for real talk, practical advice, and inspiring stories. Subscribe and join us each week for more inspiration and actionable insights to fuel your artistry. Let's dive in and get inspired. Welcome back to Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artists, my friends, the podcast for artists and performers and makers and storytellers and creative souls who want to reconnect or stay connected with their creative identity in a world that moves so fast. I'm Lara Pilcher, ICF PCC certified life and creativity coach, educator, performer, speaker, and published author. In this episode, it's about why the artist you're becoming still needs your attention. And this is a gentle but important continuation of the work we've been doing over the last handful of episodes, because after you name the deeper creative identity work, there is still a next step. You have to keep tending it, not obsessing over it, not turning it into another pressure project or some sort of fluffy ritual you do, not demanding instant transformation, but paying attention to the artist you are becoming. Because artist growth is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like returning. Sometimes it looks like noticing what no longer fits. Sometimes it looks like protecting one small practice. Sometimes it looks like telling the truth about what you actually want in your life as an artist. And sometimes it looks like choosing not to abandon yourself because the results are really slow. And if this is the kind of conversation that helps you stay stable and steady and present to your creative self and life, follow or subscribe to Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist so you don't miss what's next. These episodes are here to help you keep returning to your creative identity with more courage, honesty, and care. And this is also one of the central ideas inside my published book, Audacious Artistry: Reclaim Your Creative Identity and Thrive in a Saturated World. This book is traditionally published and for artists who are tired of being pushed around by comparison and visibility pressure and cultural noise and the fear of just being overlooked. It helps you return to the deeper creative identity that can hold your creative work and self over time. And you can find it as well as the free group study. Get a group of creatives together and grab and download the free group study at the page larabiancapilcher.com/book. Grab a copy of Audacious Artistry and do the questions at the end of each chapter. They are designed to move you forward. Again, larabiancapilcher.com/book. Let's talk about the struggle for artists. Something that happens after you get like a creative spark or energy or something that happens. You feel something wake up in you. You get a clear sort of creative mind or thought for a moment. You have an idea or you connect with your voice. You remember that you care. You feel maybe a little bit more like yourself again. That's joyful. And then life just keeps going and the inbox fills up and the job calls and the audition does or does not happen. The children need you. The bills arrive. The algorithm shifts. The energy dips. The confidence fades. The calendar gets full. And that small creative spark can get buried again. Not because it was fake and not because you failed and not because you are not serious, but because anything living needs tending. So whether you are a filmmaker, a dancer, an actor, a singer, a writer, a visual artist, or any other, you may know this pattern. You have a moment of clarity and think, this is it, I'm back. Then 3 weeks later, you are wondering where the energy went. The temptation is to shame yourself I should be further along. I should be more disciplined. I always do this. I start and I stop. Maybe I don't really want it. But sometimes the problem is not that you lack desire. Sometimes the problem is that you have not built enough attention around the artist you are becoming. Not pressure, attention. And those are different. Pressure says, hurry up and prove this is real. Attention says, we need to care so that this can keep growing. Attention says, what needs care so that this can keep growing? Pressure says, if you were serious, you'd be further along. Attention says, what is the next authentic, honest step I can take? Pressure says, turn this into evidence. Show everybody. Attention says, stay in relationship with your creative self and work. And this distinction really matters because artists often try to grow through pressure, and pressure may create a burst. But attention to that creative self is what helps something last and sustain. And if this is hitting something in you, send this episode to another artist who keeps starting again and feels embarrassed by it. Or maybe somebody you know that this would really matter to. Sometimes we need to hear that returning is not failure. Returning is part of being a creative soul. It's part of the work of being a creative and an artist. Let's look at this through a simple coaching and psychology lens. Change is not only about insight. Insight matters. A powerful realization can open a door. You might realize you've been building your identity on response. You might realize comparison has been shaping your choices. You might realize you still want the work. You might realize your voice has not disappeared. But insight does not automatically become integration. Integration requires repetition, attention, and practice. Integration is where it becomes a part of your life, a part of your sense of self and how you spend your time. It's kind of like you go, well, this is my goal up here, and I'm lifting my hand above my head for those of you who can't quite see where it is. This is my goal, but I'm down here eating potato chips on the couch, and I'm not taking any steps towards that goal, and there's this gap that happens. Integration is closing that gap. Integration requires repetition, attention, and practice. This is why you can hear something that feels so deeply true, feel moved by it, and still need to come back to it again and again. Because you are not a machine that updates instantly. You are a human being forming new patterns. In psychology, we often understand growth as something that happens through repeated attention and action over time. The brain and body begins to trust what is practiced consistently. That means your creative identity cannot be restored by one emotional moment alone. It has to be lived into. And this is where many artists become discouraged. They think, I already learned this. Why am I back here again? But returning to the same deeper question does not always mean that you failed. Sometimes it means the question is becoming more honest with yourself. You may revisit visibility at a deeper level. I have in my life through seasons and time, and I think it's always a deeper work. You may revisit confidence in a new season. I've done that too. What does it look like? I just recently performed in Europe. What is confidence in this season of my life versus the one where I stood in front of West End panelists and people saying yes or no to the show? You may revisit your voice after another rejection. You may revisit identity after success, not only after failure. That's important. That's something I'm going through now too. As I've gotten big opportunities and new doors opening, what does it look like after you get the success and the dream you wanted, like the publishing deal that I've walked in this year? I've had to revisit who I am in success as well as failure through the years that have passed in trying to get to these places. You may revisit courage when the stakes are higher and the risk is higher and it's more public. Artist growth is not a straight line where you solve one thing forever and move on. Oh man, wouldn't that be great? It's more like returning to the same core truths with more maturity, more honesty with yourself, and more capacity. And the truth I want you to get is that the artist you are becoming needs attention actually before they need applause. It really matters because many artists wait for applause to confirm that growth is happening. But some of the most important growth happens before anyone else can see it. You are choosing not to copy the person who seems ahead of you. You are taking your work seriously again. You are protecting a small practice, or you are telling the truth in the draft. You are going back to class. You are resting instead of quitting. You are asking for help. You are making one clear decision. You are letting an old version of yourself go. And none of that may look impressive yet, but it does matter because the artist you're becoming is shaped by what you keep giving attention to. Now, if you know you need a clearer next step and creative motivation and motion, I've created a free resource called the Artist Momentum Reset. The bracket title is actually Stop Begging for Scraps, because that's a very visceral picture of what so many of us have spent years doing. It's a free, on-demand, 30-minute masterclass video you can watch in your own time with coaching questions. Grab a pen and paper. No booking, no pressure. It's designed to help you pause, take stock of where you are, and begin moving again with more clarity. You can find it at larabiancapilcher.com/masterclass. So, how do you tend the artist you are becoming? First, notice what keeps asking for your attention. Not everything needs your attention at once. That's really important. Artists can overwhelm themselves by trying to rebuild the entire creative life in 1 week. The routine, the brand, the project, the body, the confidence, the website, the auditions, the writing practice, the networking, the finances, the visibility, all at once. And then they wonder why they shut down. Instead, ask, what is the one part of my creative life that needs the most care right now? Is it your voice? Is it your discipline, your confidence, your craft, your body, your imagination, your courage, your relationship with visibility maybe, your willingness to be seen at all, your ability to finish something, your ability to begin something, your attention, your rest, your belief that the work and creativity within you still matters. You don't need to tend to everything today. You need to stop abandoning the thing that is quietly asking you for care. Second, build a small rhythm of return. It's not a fancy routine. It's a real one. A rhythm of return might be 1 hour on Fridays, 10 minutes before the household wakes up, one weekly class, a voice memo of reflection after rehearsal with things that you want to work on, a Sunday planning note for the week ahead. What will I do this week? What's my one step? One pitch a week, 1 page a day, one walk where you listen for ideas and let your mind just relax into creativity without distracting it with scrolling or music, unless the music serves that. One practice that reminds your body and your mind, I am still in relationship with my creativity and this creative work. The rhythm needs to be small enough to survive your actual life, and that is not a weakness. It's actually wisdom. It's working with your body and not against it. A beautiful plan you cannot keep may give you a temporary sense of control, but a small rhythm you can return to will build trust with yourself. Third, pay attention to what you're becoming is asking you to release. Because artist growth is not always adding things. Sometimes it's actually letting things go. Letting go of an old definition of success. Letting go of the version of you who needed everyone to understand. Letting go of the idea that is, if it's not happening fast, it's not happening at all. Letting go of work that once fit but no longer does. Letting go of a platform pressure that is swallowing the actual art. Letting go of the belief that you need to be chosen before you can take yourself seriously. That can feel uncomfortable because even painful identities can become familiar identities. The overlooked artist, the almost artist, the exhausted artist, the artist waiting for permission, the artist who jokes about not finishing, the artist who hides behind helping everybody else, the artist who keeps the dream alive by never quite risking it. There is no shame in recognizing yourself in any of these, but there is an invitation. Who are you becoming if you stop rehearsing that old role? And fourth, protect your attention from constant comparison. Comparison is not just a bad habit. It is an attention thief. It trains you to monitor everyone else's path while neglecting the one in front of you. And the artist you are becoming cannot grow well if they are constantly being interrupted by the imagined success of someone else. That does not mean you never look around. Artists need community, and we need inspiration, and we need to know what is happening in the world. But if looking around consistently makes you abandon your own creative work, it may be time to look less around and listen more. Fifth, remember that becoming is allowed to be quiet. This is hard in a world that rewards announcements. I want to tell you I'm booked and blessed, or I'm so excited to let you know that I'm in this show, or I'm honored to be blah, 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 or this weekend, and it just goes on with artists. We love the visible moment. The launch, the book, the performance, the gallery, the role, the big decision, the before and the after. But becoming often happens in the quieter middle. Before the announcement, before the finished work, before the public proof, before the room knows what is forming behind the scenes. And I want you to respect that middle, because you will spend a lot of time, and have probably already spent a lot of time here. You don't hide in it forever, but you do respect it. Let something form without dragging it into the public too early. Let yourself practice without needing every practice to become content. Let your creative identity strengthen without demanding applause before it's ready. That is part of maturity. The artist you are becoming needs care, not constant exposure. And when the time comes to share, you will share from a stronger place. Not because you waited until you were fearless, but because you tended to the work long enough to know what you are bringing. So your Creative Spark Challenge, the coaching exercise I give you in every episode, is this. Take 10 minutes and answer this question. What part of the artist I am becoming most needs my attention right now? What part of the artist I'm becoming most needs my attention right now? Then write one sentence that begins with "this week, I will tend that by." Keep it small. This week, for example, I will tend that by writing for 10 minutes. This week, I will tend that by going back to class. This week, I will tend that by resting instead of spiraling. This week, I will tend that by sending the pitch. This week, I will tend that by practicing without posting. This week, I will tend that by telling the truth in the draft. One small act of attention. That is enough to begin. And the wrap up. Today we talked about why the artist you are becoming still needs your attention. We talked about the difference between pressure and attention, why insight needs integration, and how artist growth often happens through small rhythms of return. Remember, the artist you are becoming needs attention before they need applause. If this episode resonated, follow or subscribe to Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist so you don't miss what's next. And if you know another artist who keeps starting again and needs a kinder way to understand that process, send this episode to them. And next week, we are continuing with an episode called You Don't Need to Start Over as an Artist. And that one's for the artist who feels behind, interrupted, or like they've lost the thread. This work is part of a greater work called Creative Restoration International. my husband and I registered this as a not-for-profit, and we also have a second podcast under this and a second program to help marriages. And the podcast we run there is Marriage, Intimacy and Healing with Andrew and Lara at andrewandlara.com. It's a podcast to help couples repair disconnection and build a healthy marriage. And if this kind of work, these programs are meaningful to you, consider becoming a monthly supporter at creativerestorationinternational.com. Thank you for being here. Keep tending to the work, keep returning with honesty, and remember, the artist you are becoming is worth your attention, even before the world knows what is forming. I'm with you on the journey. I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an inspiring conversation or actionable insight. You can read the show notes and learn more at larabiancapilcher.com. And be sure to share this episode with fellow artists who could use a little extra inspiration. Until next time, keep creating, stay audacious, and remember, your artistry matters.